What is Notion? I got asked this question by somebody who just recently joined the community, and he had apparently noticed these Notion Labs events that we do every month, and he sent me a DM and asked me what Notion is. And initially my response was blasphemy. How can you not know what Notion is and call yourself a friend of mine? And joking aside, it took me a minute to kind of remember that, I'm so immersed in this world of Notion. I've been using it for like 4+ years now, and, deeply using it. My whole life is in it. I forget sometimes that there are, in fact, people who've never heard of Notion, as crazy as that sounds. So once I got past my initial blasphemy reaction, I wrote him a response that explained that Notion is the app that I use to teach to organize absolutely everything: how to capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage with everything you need to do in a system you can trust. And of course, you'll hear me talk about your front door and the daily journal, which is the front door, and over time you'll start putting things together as to why. So for one thing, if you don't know what Notion is, for sure you should join our Notion Labs calls. They're absolutely free. I used to reserve these just for people who'd signed up for Notion Mastery, and I thought, why not let others get exposed to this? Some of the stuff will be way beyond what you're sort of ready for if you're brand new, but I also reserve time, especially if you bring up a question, for addressing the questions that are based on people who have zero to little experience with Notion. So the other thing that I wanted to mention as far as answering that question, what is Notion? My favorite way I've heard it explained is from one of the co-founders of Notion. It's digital Lego. And now what does that mean? It means we've got building blocks. It means that you are able to take these blocks, and the more you learn about the different blocks that are available to you, the more versatile you'll be in terms of how to put together, how to construct whatever you can conceive of, whatever you need, right? You might start by just pulling up a blank page and taking some notes, but then you start to learn how you can convert any of those blocks, and every line of text you create on a Notion page is going to be in a block, and you learn how you can then convert that into any other kind of block. So we'll get into those kind of things as time goes on, and you'll certainly see more and more of me posting videos now that this community is finally coming to life and we're getting a lot of people joining. You'll definitely see and hear more and more from me on this topic. So yes, it's digital Lego. Notion gives you blocks, and some of the kinds of blocks you'll hear us talk about are things like callouts, toggles, buttons, database, right, pages. And that was one of the things that really clicked for me when initially I got into Notion. I thought I was just going to use it for documenting notes and things that task management software isn't really well designed or equipped to do. But when I learned about how you can design databases and you can link databases to one another so that you can easily cross-reference information to and from different places, it started to click, and I started to go all in with Notion, right? So, but let's start simpler. If you want let's say you want a habit tracker, like just recently, I wanted to start tracking to make sure that I drank 3 bottles of water per day. So here's my daily journal, right? And I just very simple little habit tracker, right? And since I didn't need this to fill up a whole sort of page, then I created a 2-column layout for this part and just created the space for anything else I might want to track today, right? And so what are these? This is a call out, okay? Put the title in here, formatted it with bold. A call out gets an emoji associated with it for the visual, and then this is a little to-do list within the call out, right? And so now you see a little bit of what I mean, where you can just, as you learn how to use these different blocks, you can create whatever you can conceive of, right? Want to push a journal entry or something from my daily journal entry into a task? This is a very recent addition. I created this button that says add a task, and then I can go here and say, hey, you know what, I want to take whatever follow-up items I have from my call here with Dr. Chang and add them into a task, right? And what you're seeing here is what's called a toggle. It's another kind of block where I can expand this. Let's use something I can share, because obviously this is a little personal, but here's where I jotted down an idea, right? This whole thing will become a whole entire task unto itself, right? So by creating this button, I'm able to open up what's called a side peek view of a link into a whole different database. The daily journal is not in the task database, it's its own database, but I can create the infrastructure within Notion that makes it super easy for me to do things like this. I'm going to delete this one for now. And so that's the buttons. And as you can see, I've baked it into my daily journal template. So every day, because I have the habit of creating a new journal, I have these buttons. I can easily add a task or a note, and oftentimes a lot of the things I need to do originate from the daily journal. That's why you'll hear me refer to the daily journal as your front door, because everything gets into the system through the daily journal. Almost everything. Some things obviously can bypass the front door. So what really is Notion? Notion is how I put everything I need on any given day right at my fingertips, right? And again, I mentioned this a minute ago, but I'll mention it one more time to borrow right out of David Allen's Getting Things Done, which has largely informed how I've designed Notion, how I've designed Notion so that I can work with it in his Getting Things Done methodology. These words are from his book. It is where I can capture, clarify, organize, reflect, and engage with everything I need to do in a system I can trust. The system's got nothing to do with the app. The system prescribes how I work with the app. So I built and designed this whole system of templates to be able to allow me to use the Getting Things Done methodology insofar as how I work with the app. So very quickly, if you're brand new and you have zero experience with Notion, this is what your Notion is going to look like when you first set up your account and first create a new page. Your job is to start with this blank page and fill it in. And very quickly, if you want to go further and you want to go further faster, I have two courses. There's Oceans of Notions, which teaches you how to get from a blank page like this into kind of a central hub, something perhaps a little simpler than what I've got here, and I'll show you. Okay, this is my main operating system homepage for Nerd Enterprises. Daily Journal's front and center. Like I said, it's the front door. There's a reason for that, and there's a method to my madness, right? So in Oceans of Notion, you'll learn in 4 lessons how to create a simpler version of what you're seeing here. And then, of course, there is Notion Mastery, which is a course right here in Circle, where this is the course itself. This is the forum, right? So you get into the course gives you my whole network of templates. You'll get access to what I've already taken years to develop, build, and evolve into a system that you can use. So long before you really learn how to build things in Notion, you can just get in here and start using my system. And in the course, as well as through this forum, I will teach you everything you need to know about Notion along the way. That is my story. So if you want in, and if seeing all this makes your nerdy little heart flutter, then come and join me in Notion Mastery, and I'll get you up to speed very quickly so that you too can be managing everything you need to do in a system you can trust.